The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSRTV, your home for sim racing.
Established in 1849 as an Army outpost overlooking the Trinity River, Fort Worth, Texas has grown into the 15th largest city in the U.S. and is home to the Texas Motor Speedway. Tonight, it's the 10th race of the CEA American Pool Supply Truck Series, and we are set for 125 laps around this beautiful 1.5-mile quad oval. Good evening, race fans. My name is David Schildhouse, joined in the booth tonight by Trevin Valderrama and Joe Allen down in the control booth, bringing you the sights and sounds for tonight's event. Trevin, looking at the point standings, it's not hard to see that Seth the Merchant has been the man to beat and has been having his way with the field up to this point as he now enjoys a healthy 106-point margin in the championship standings.
Yeah, Seth the Merchant has just been absolutely dominating the field with 6 starts, and in those 6 starts, he has 2 wins and 6 top 5s along with 6 top 10s. So he's just been absolutely consistent and, closely behind him. Well, we say closely, but it's 106 points behind him. Christian Peterson, also 6 wins and 1 win. He and Seth the Merchant are just fantastic throughout this series and throughout other series that we see on iRacing. So just looking for them to, continue to dominate throughout this whole entire championship run. And it's just going to be a great race to see how these drivers handle Texas Motor Speedway.
Now, speaking of Texas Motor Speedway, a quad oval similar to Atlanta or even Charlotte Motor Speedway, but unique in its own regard. Tricky areas around this track, especially off of turn 2, when that banking falls off, you better be on it and have a good line out of that corner. You're going to be up into your competition or up into that outside barrier.
Yeah, it's always such a tricky position of the track, coming off of that turn 2 area. You can easily just get into that wall, especially when your tires fall off so quickly. And, it just gets so crazy after every single lap, turning and turning. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're in the wall because you're just getting that tunnel vision. But you got to stay focused 110% of the time and just make sure you hit your marks every single time and just try to get to that checkered flag first.
It should be a beautiful day here for these guys to get around the racetrack. Ideal weather, clear right now, showing a track temperature of about 104. So the tires might take a little bit of abuse. That's a little bit on the warmer side, about 77 degrees air temperature. So conserving tires, taking care of that right front, really going to be one of the biggest keys to making sure you're fast over the long run.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this series is they have tire restrictions. So they have 3 tires total, or 3 sets of tires, I should say, total. In the pits, and 1 set is actually on their car already. So they have actually 2 tires in their pits, and they can jack their car up twice, whether that be on the right side, on the left side, or just total altogether. So that's also just a great implication to this championship standings.
Yeah, a little bit of tire strategy might go a long way in getting a win here tonight. And as we say that, Trevin, looks like we got trucks on the grid. So let's go over the starting lineup tonight. Starting on the pole is going to be the man you mentioned earlier. No, it's not Seth the Merchant. It's Christian Peterson in the number 23 with a qualifying time of 30.963. He'll be on the pole. And to his outside will be Stephen Hollingsworth outside row number 1.
Row number 2 will go to William Hartman and Jared Campbell.
Inside row number 3 is going to be Gabriel Wood. William Kemp will line up to his outside. Kyle Manger will roll off from the 7th starting position. Blake Griffith will roll off 8th. Tyler Dalton in 9th. And Billy Tungate rounding out the top 10.
P11 will go to Dustin Dean. P12, Derek Paulson. P13 goes to Reese Bob. And P14 goes to Jeremy Adams. P15, John Theodore. P16 goes to John Lyday. P17, Matthew Murphy. Bo Givens, P18. P19 goes to Jeff Ryan, and Josh Dietz qualifies P20.
CJ Mason, the last driver to take a time tonight, will roll off from the 21st position, and the rest of these drivers that I'll list off did not put down a qualifying time, including James Krahula, Paul Henley, Kevin Fetty, John Hain, Sean Cross, Jeremy Watkins, and starting 26th and shotgun on the field. And the number 34 will be Todd Novosad. So 26 trucks lined up here, 125 laps around the racetrack tonight, Trevin. 10 races in now. These guys got to have this thing figured out, got to have a good idea of what their competition's going to be doing around them. So I think we're going to see a very exciting race here tonight.
Yeah, this whole entire truck series lineup is just great week in, week out. All these guys that race as cleanly as possible, and they just make great passes on them, find different parts of the track that they can use, and they're really creative with passing. So it's just going to be a great race for all these 125 laps we have here today at Texas Motor Speedway.
Now, the big thing that stands out to me looking over the starting field is the name that we didn't mention. That is Seth DeMerchant, your points leader. So maybe he's taking the night off. I think I read in the rules package that there are 5 drop weeks for this series. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Trevin, but 5 drop weeks perhaps. Seth has got other plans, other things taking up his time tonight. So he's looking at one of these drop weeks being this one here tonight.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta take some days off, take some races off, regroup. You're doing this week in, week out, and along with other series that you have going on, and just to keep that mojo going, you got to take some weeks off for yourself. And also, he has such a substantial lead. He can afford it, but not a lot.
I guess that's one of the benefits to being the points leader is you kind of set your own schedule if you got yourself a nice big points lead like Mr. DeMerchant does. So maybe these guys look at this as a great opportunity to score a win or close in on the point standings if you're Christian Peterson right now. The man second in points really can take a big chunk out of that 106-point lead if he can get himself a great result here tonight. But Trevin, it's about that time. Pace car makes that hard left-hand turn onto pit road. Field's in the hands of Christian Peterson looking for the green flag, and it is out. We are underway here at Texas Motor Speedway. A slow start for the front row, but they keep it straight, rolling down into turn number 1.
Yeah, you got to watch out for tire spin as well throughout these restarts. This is a very tricky track, as we pointed out before, but Christian Peterson going to take advantage of that low line and get pushed by that number 67 of William Hartman, and they're going to take that 1-2 position going down the backstretch into turn 3. We'll see who goes down low. That's going to be the 82 of Stephen Hollingsworth trying to get below William Hartman for that second place position, while we have quite a few rows behind them.
Yep, side by side, about all the way back through. Just a high-speed pace lap if you really take a close look at it there. But great move on the inside by the 82. Trying to take over that second spot. You got to be careful when you're down there on that lower line to keep your line and not slide up into the guy on top. Tires are still a little bit cold, getting up to temperature now. And as that grip starts to come in, these guys will get a little bit more bold when making those overtaking passes. But still side-by-side fighting through 3 and 4.
Yeah, and Christian Peterson is loving seeing this all fighting in the back or in the rearview mirror behind him, because this will give him time to pull away from the field. So you just see all this happening, and now that there's the
trouble down the front stretch. Sorry to break out there on you, Trevin, but we got the flip count at 1 right now as the number 07 of Bo Givens and the number 9 of Josh Dietz tangle down the front stretch. The 9 with a hard impact along with the 07 into the front stretch wall, and that 9 went tumbling. Oh my goodness, I haven't seen a wreck like that since Michael McDowell right here in Texas.
Yeah, that was a hard impact on that outside wall, sent the truck flipping, and I was going to point actually on the driver of Bo Givens, because he was up 9 positions in the point standings after last week's race, so he had a good time coming in here. But now you see absolute heartbreak for him, ending the race very early here at Texas.
Take a look at this thing. It looks like the 9 of Dietz just had a great run down the front stretch, went to the outside, and all of a sudden, inexplicably, the 07 just darted to the right. I don't know if he didn't know that Josh was out there or what. Just a very weird circumstance that led to that wreck. But as you see it there on your screen, Josh Dietz goes end over end after getting hit by another vehicle. I think that was... Let's see, who was that? In the white truck, I think it was the 20 of CJ Mason. So about 3 trucks involved there, and some early retirements as a result.
Yeah, could have just been a match of not knowing you're up there, pushing too hard too early, and they always say you can't win lap 4 or 5, but you can always win it lap 125, and you can always lose it on lap 4 or 5. So these guys got to re-rack, restack, and put on one heck of a show tonight. This is just going to be a great race, and you know, obviously, you're getting a little excited towards that beginning of the race because you know that it's about mid-season, and you got to start getting your way up into the point standings, and it's just one of those things.
That's racing, as they say, but if you're one of the guys that gets caught up in an incident like that, it doesn't help you feel any better when you got a tore-up racetrack, not even a tenth of the way through this event. But we looked at the racing up front, Trevin, and Christian Peterson holding serve out front, seemingly unchallenged for the moment, but all that gets erased after this caution flies, and these guys like Steve Hollingsworth, Gabriel Wood, and William Hartman all sort of got to figure out, all right, he kind of squirted out to the lead there. What do we have to do differently now to catch up to him and try and pass him to take the lead?
Well, I think one of the first things that they got to do, they got to start working together. We saw a lot of 2x2 behind Christian Peterson, and that was really letting him set sail and pull away a little bit. But once Stephen Hollingsworth was able to get out in front of those cars behind him, he was able to track Peterson down. He was able to run his own line and not, try to work with what he was given. He was able to do his own thing. He was able to run his race, and that really led him to be able to catch up quickly.
The lights are out on the pace car, so we'll go 2x2 and get ready for this restart here coming up on lap 6 right now. Restart coming on lap number 7 of 125. Christian Peterson been out front for all 6 of them so far. Slowed by our first caution of the night for a 3-truck incident on the front stretch. And, Trevin, the thing I love the most about this rules package with the tire rule, traditionally when you're doing iRacing, you go and you run 6-7 laps of caution flies, and then you're pitting to take tires every time. With this rules set, you're not seeing that, and tire strategy and track position strategy really play a key, and I really love that.
Oh, without a doubt, because, exactly as you said, every single caution they'd be pitting, and that really doesn't, bring a lot of strategy into it. But once you have a certain amount of tires in the pits, it really brings some strategy to the table, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, that's a great rule to put into place, and if you're running your own league and looking for some great ideas to spice up the racing, consider that one, because I've seen it used in other places and it's never gone wrong. But as we say that, pace car is off. Green flag is in the air. Christian Peterson down and away. Much better start this time. Has already gapped second place by about 2 truck lengths as they roll into turn number 1.
Kyle Manger had a little bit of a tire spin. That's the number 25, but he was all ready to go, and he's able to recuperate and head back out onto the flat surface. Gabriel Wood able to take away that second position from that 82 of Stephen Hollingsworth, and now we have a 2-car battle for P3. Why not make it a 3-car battle? William Hartman's trying to get in that mix as well. 25 of Kyle Manger making a great rebound, slides his way into third. That's leaving Stephen Hollingsworth further back than what he started, and it just might leave him even further back going into turn number 1. Number 67 of William Hartman trying to make a quick work on him. We'll see if that happens. And the number 06 as well, trying to take position away from the number 82 of Stephen Hollingsworth. So it's really not being nice to him after that first restart.
An absolutely catastrophic first couple laps after the restart for Stephen Hollingsworth in that number 82 truck, riding the outside and getting freight trained. I mean, we're not at Daytona or Talladega, but he is getting freight trained much the same as we would see at a restrictor plate track, shipping off positions at wholesale prices, now falling back to the 6th position from that outside starting spot. So not having a good time in the 82 truck, but he can dive it down to the bottom now, sneaking behind the 06 and attempt to cross over his own now. Great move there down the backstretch, trying to fight back for a top 5 position.
06 sticking with that high side, trying to get around him quickly, but I believe that Stephen Hollingsworth has that preferred lane on that bottom side through turns 3 and 4. I would say that the high side is not really the preferred lane, but as I say that, Jared Campbell able to wind it up on that outside and pass for position, so that just brings him back even further. But looking towards the lead, we have Gabriel Wood challenging for position on Christian Peterson, side by side, going down the backstretch. Christian Peterson, getting a good run off that high line and able to cross him back over very quickly into turns number 3 and 4. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, great battle for the lead there. You saw the bid made by the 66 of Gabriel Wood. The leader able to hold him off there. Peterson doing a nice job holding serve out front as the 66 regroups and falls in line there. These trucks, they're not the most powerful things compared to, say, a Cup car or even an Xfinity car, and aerodynamics play a big role in these big trucks as they lumber around the racetrack. So you really got to set up your passes carefully, and if you don't get the right head of steam or the right position, it's tough to make that thing stick, especially into these corners if you're taking a very shallow entry.
Yeah, and we see the number 67 trying to get around that number 25. He is all over the back bumper, and that's just giving him a little bit of the number 25, getting a little extra help going to the number 66 of Gabriel Wood, who's also trying to get to that back bumper with Christian Peterson. We saw it do it before. Can he do it again? And, you know, this is just a great battle going on right now. There's not really battling going on up front, so it's really helping them stay together, as I was pointing out. But now they're getting a little more stretched out, and we have the number 82 and the 06 still battling it out. The 82 guys positioned back just for the moment, though. That will bring him back up to 5th place, trying to get to that 2nd position where he was before. But we still have a 4-car battle, basically, for the lead.
Yeah, great fight up here. You see it on your screen. Basically, the top 5 vehicles separated by under 1 second. The top 4 by under half a second. So these guys are all over each other. Shows you the level of competition is up to snuff here in this series. The fight is on for 3rd now. Great move made there by William Hartman in the 67. Goes underneath the number 25. Will he fight back on the outside? I don't know if that's going to work, as we've seen. He kind of pedals out of it, setting up for turn 1. Kyle Manger. Discretion, the better part of valor there, going into turn 1, gets back down to the bottom. So swap those 2 positions, put William Hartman up to 3rd in that number 67.
Yeah, great move by the number 67 of William Hartman, now up to 3rd. Now the 82 is pushing the number 25 down the backstretch. That's Stephen Hollingsworth pushing Kyle Manger, and that could have been disastrous really quickly if they got caught up in something. But that worked out well for them, and now they're racing themselves up to P2 to Gabriel Wood. Coming to lap number 14, Christian Peterson leading all the laps so far. Gabriel Wood trying to get to that back bumper so hard. And we still have Jared Campbell and now Dustin Dean into the mix as well. So, and then a lengthy, considerably lengthy gap to William Kemp. That's 8th position. So 7 cars are basically in the lead pack right now, and just single file and trying to log some laps.
And with the tire rules package, as we highlighted earlier, really, tire management comes in to play a bigger role. I think in a series where it has that role more so than anywhere else, if you have the freedom to take as many tires as you wanted to. And this race seemingly has a green flag feel to it now as they sort it out and are sort of single file for the moment. So the guys that can take care of their tires the best, we should start to see them work their way through the field if they've held on to their tires. And maybe a guy like Christian Peterson, who's been out front, maybe using his tires a little bit harder to hold that gap over 2nd place, might start to fall through the field. We'll have to keep an eye on that.
We have the number 06 of Jared Campbell trying to make a move on that number 82 of Stephen Hollingsworth. We'll see how this works out going into turns 1 and 2. And the 14 also, Dustin D trying to get into the mix as well. Going down the backstretch side by side, nearly made contact with each other, rubbing some doors, but the 82 is going to prevail a little bit on that outside. We'll see how this works out as well with a little bit of traffic with Kyle Manger up ahead. He could use him as a pick. So we'll see how this works out. Nope, still up ahead. Stephen Hollingsworth holding on to that as hard as possible. And you got to imagine that the number 06 is using his tires a little bit more than number 82, Stephen Hollingsworth. So we'll have to see how that works out. And you see him just left tires on that white line trying to help it rotate.
That is so close right there between those 2 trucks. You couldn't fit a sheet of paper between them as they worked off of turn 2. And just side by side, a great battle on your screen here between Stephen Hollingsworth and that number 82 and the number 06 of Gerald Campbell. Now Campbell will clear him off of 4, but of course the 82 will stick the nose out there at the quarter panel. I think he's going to hold that position now as they work it out. And Gerald Campbell now back into the 5th position, sets the sight ahead on the number 25 of Kyle Manger. Great battle there as you see it. No change up front. Christian Peterson continues to lead. He has led this thing since the drop of the green flag as we are working to complete lap number 19 here at the Texas Motor Speedway. And Trevin, so far, unchallenged, Christian Peterson has been up front.
Yeah, Christian Peterson just, again, so dominant week in, week out. Gabriel Wood had a chance, but, you know, I think he's just laying back and watching what Christian Peterson is doing throughout this whole entire race, seeing what line he's taking, trying to match it, and seeing what he can do to prepare himself for the later parts of this race, trying to keep them tires, you know, good and clean. You know, also, we have about 35 laps on until the first pit cycle, it appears. So, you know, trying to see how these guys will deal with their cars until then, see if anybody will come down earlier or who will try to, you know, extend their length out a little bit, because shooting for lap 55, and you know, if you go off 2 stops, technically it'd be lap 110, and we have 125 laps. So, you know, it's going to be exciting to see how these drivers will work with their gas strategy and their tire strategy to make sure they have enough for the end.
So let's try and put ourselves in the mind of, say, a Gabriel Wood running second in that number 66 Chevy Silverado, seemingly not able to do anything with Christian Peterson, not reel him in, not make a pass on him. So now you got to start to think of, well, we got to use strategy now to maybe get ahead of him. You go for the undercut like they do in Formula One, you know, short pitting, what we call here on the oval side of things, and try and force the hand of Christian Peterson, maybe hit pit road, get fresher tires, and beat him back out on the track with that fresh rubber?
You know, you just got to start doing whatever you think you can. So yeah, exactly. You got to, if you can't beat them on the track, try to beat them on pit road. So you know, you just got to have a clean stop in and out, and make sure you don't overshoot it, you don't undershoot it, you're not too left or too far right. Christian Peterson nearly gets into the back bumper of that lap down car. That's Todd Novosad, very close to that left rear quarter panel, and he's going to stay up high for everybody else. So could have just saw what happened with Will Power last night in IndyCar. That could have been really bad, but now lap traffic's also starting to be a point of interest. So you know, Gabriel Wood could work off of that as well. But you know, exactly what you were saying earlier, can't beat him on track, beat him on pit road. So we'll see what happens. You know, sometimes we've seen in this series, pressure gets to people, and you know, they overrun that pit stall. We've seen it happen so many times, especially at Charlotte. It was amazing to see how many drivers were just able to overrun that pit stall and then lose so much track position because of what they did. But you know, you got to watch yourself. And you know, the interesting thing that I'm seeing about Christian Peterson, Gabriel Wood is going all the way down to that white line, and Christian Peterson's kind of staying above that white line, but for the most part, as you see, Gabriel Wood's all the way down on that white line, but Christian Peterson does not get that far down. So you know, that white line helps rotate that car a little bit better.
Yeah, it does. We've seen Kevin Harvick use that sort of at Atlanta. He's able to really get down on the white line there, especially in 1 and 2, and help rotate that car. It's a hard thing to do because it's a thin line between rotating the car just enough and over-rotating, and all of a sudden you're looking at the fans in the infield and about to work your way back out to the outside wall with the rear end. But, you know, Gabriel Wood also, I think, is trying to utilize that line to maybe get a little bit more air on the left front corner of that race truck. With the one in front of him not using that line, he's got a little bit of a headwind coming down that he can use for extra downforce. So maybe the 23 Christian Peterson would be better served to run right down there on bottom and make Gabriel Wood go up the racetrack a little bit, or not get the benefit of that arrow on his front end. Just looking at the lap times, pretty identical between these two trucks. And let's not forget about third place, William Hartman in the 67. He's hanging in there, running competitive lap times as well. So really, the top three sort of run away from the rest of the field, if you will. We're looking about 2 seconds back to fourth place. So a three-truck show right now. William Hartman in that 67 doing a great job as well.
Yeah, all these truck drivers doing a great job. And just got word from Todd Novosad's team. His motor has been cooked, and he will be pulling it behind the wall. Unfortunate day for him. So we'll have to look for that as well. You know, some drivers may be running more tape than what their car can handle, and you know, just running that, trying to get more speed when you put more tape on that grill, and you know, it just doesn't work out sometimes. Running these high temperatures, and it eventually gets to them, as you see just Gabriel Wood nearly gets into the grass a little bit, and you know, losing a little bit of time going down the front stretch.
Yeah, you got to be careful that you try and cut the quad oval a little bit too much there. You grab that grass. Maybe they want to see the new animations that iRacing brought in for when you go through the grass now. It looks spectacular. You don't want to be the guy that does that, because going through the grass is not necessarily the fastest way around the racetrack. But it sure does look pretty when that grass kicks up, and kind of look like Kyle Larson did earlier today up in Michigan. But, you know, the lead seemingly is growing now as Christian Peterson just continually hitting lap times around the 32.7 bracket. Gabriel Wood kind of about 2/10 off of that in the 32.9s, almost the 33 flats. So tire conservation or overall smoothness is allowing Christian Peterson now to grow that lead, as it sits at currently about 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, if I'm Gabriel Wood, I'm thinking, I obviously he's pulling away from me, so let's just try to conserve those tires as much as possible, just in case something were to happen. Just conserve, conserve, conserve. That's really the point of this track because, as we were talking pre-race, it is a very tricky track to, handle coming out of turn two. You're going to see a lot of Goodyear tires rubbed off on that sidewall, so it's going to be hard to deal with, and and you don't want to be that guy that gets to the wall and then just wrecks that whole entire field behind you. But it's an exciting race all around, and a lot of green flag laps. We have 95, just as quick as that, 95 laps to go here at Texas Motor Speedway. So these laps are winding down quite quickly, and Christian Peterson likes to see that and likes to see that gap grow from his rearview mirror.
Yeah, always a good feeling when you are the leader and the guy behind you just gets smaller and smaller and smaller in that rear view mirror. Knows you're doing something right. And, as a sim racing driver, it's not easy to always hit your marks when you're by yourself. You don't have a point of reference out in front. Some guys don't run as well when they're out in front because they need a reference out in front of them to hit their marks. But seemingly Christian Peterson is doing a great job without anybody in front of him, as he has for much of the year, unless it was Seth the Merchant, sort of showing him a way around the racetrack. So a great job there. And you see these guys now sort of using a little bit of a higher arc into turn one. And Trevin, I got to believe that's because of the tire wear. Gives you a nice gentle run down the hill as you angle it to try and hit that apex. So a little bit of a shift now as these tires have 32 laps on them.
Yeah, and just cooking them so hard, and with this track surface as hot as it is, just make it worse for them if they try to push any harder. But Christian Peterson just doing such a great job. We're going to be talking about him a lot, I feel, tonight. But Seth the Merchant, again, he's not here tonight, but I'm sure if he was here, he'd be making his way through the field. And just, you always see Christian Peterson and Seth the Merchant around each other every single race. So it's just fascinating to see these two dominate the whole entire series and race after race. But Christian Peterson putting on a clinic tonight. Gabriel Wood just watching what he's doing, and I'm sure taking mental notes for later in the race tonight. It's just going to be great to see how these drivers will do it on these guys. Looking a little bit further back, a little bit of a race battle. Pretty close together. You got Stephen Hollingsworth trying to keep his sixth place position. William Kempf trying to hunt him down a little bit, but you got a little four-car battle going on for that appears to be fourth place position.
And taking a look at the fourth place, fifth, sixth, kind of throw a blanket over them right there. We watch these guys battle throughout the first 34 laps here, seemingly can't get away from one another, and that's kind of the great thing about the truck series in itself is, not that big of a separation for a lot of the field. You'll have a couple of guys who sort of step away and sort of run at their own pace, at a higher pace than most of the guys, but the bulk of the field can all run around each other. It makes for a lot of fun racing to watch. And you see here, as Gerald Campbell in the 06, Stephen Hollingsworth in that 82, William Kempf in the 09, continue to battle and try and leverage different lines around the racetrack as we see Hollingsworth jump up to the top side through 3 and 4. Not sure if that's really helping him or not. It might be easier on the tires, but it's so tempting when you see the guy in front of you starting to pull away, to push a little bit harder, to try and get a little bit more out of your vehicle. And that doesn't always work out. You'll end up abusing the right front tire more, and you might even push it so far that you hit that outside wall. So these guys got to be careful to drive within themselves, within their ability, but also within the confines of the truck itself and the tire wear that they've been putting through.
Exactly. And we now see a battle going on for 8th position. That's going to be Tyler Dalton, Dustin Dean, and Reese Bam in the mix. So number 19 of Tyler Dalton was able to get it on that backstretch, pull away a little bit from Dustin Dean, doing a great job getting around that outside of him, and just making such a great pass, and now trying to pull away from him and try to get up to William Kempf.
Yeah, a great battle here as we see Reese Baham in the number 1, fighting on the outside of that number 14 of Dustin Dean, trying to make up some ground, not really getting anywhere. And I don't think the high side is going to be a place you really are going to make work to try and pass someone unless you're just that much faster. Maybe once we see these guys make green flag pit stops and get fresh rubber, and they're out there running, a second or more faster than the guys that haven't pitted yet, they'll have to go to that top side to make the passes, because the closing rate will be so phenomenal. So, fresh tires always makes everyone feel like a hero. And once we see these guys head to pit road, it'll be fun to watch the guys that continue to stay out and try and play some strategy versus the guys on the fresh tires dicing their way through. Sometimes you can find yourself in a bad spot there.
As you see Baham trying to make it around that number 14 of Dustin Dean, trying to get that 9th place position. We'll see how it works out. They're going door to door, going through that 4th turn. We'll see who comes out on top. That'll be the number 14 of Dustin Dean. Now leaving the door open for Jeremy Adams to take away that 10th place position. We'll see how this works out for him. And it's working out for him a little bit, but now you see him swiping down a little bit, trying to get that extra speed coming off the corner, and he will, oh, the number 14 into the wall. Very, very close. He's able to hold on to it. That was very impressive, but we were just talking, you know, it's hard to get your bearings off of turn 2 if you're going that fast and you lose control of that car.
That was a very tense moment for the number 14. Kudos to him for holding on to it. That will get your attention, especially the guys around him trying to avoid him while he was out of control. Dustin Dean with a great save there. And, you know, it's just so easy to do that, Trevin, especially on older tires. I've done it myself running in Atlanta on old tires, just tried to get around a guy down the backstretch, and as I eased to the right, the truck just hooked and went into the outside wall all by myself. It was very embarrassing, but as these tires wear, they're still trying to put down 600 plus horsepower to the pavement, and it's not easy to do when you don't have a lot of grip. But we avoided disaster there as the 14 of Dustin Dean now falls into the clutches of the number 5 of Derek Paulson. Great run there, fighting over 11th position there in the 84 of John Theodore to his outside. So another little cluster of trucks battling it out through 1 and 2 side by side.
Yeah, and you know, you just see now so much damage was, oh my, just a little bit of contact from the number 5 machine, but you know, you see a lot of damage on that number 14, and you know, that just won't help him out, and I'm sure his tires are pretty cooked. So we'll see as the number 14 falling back quickly. He's going to come into pit lane. He just can't handle it anymore, and we'll see what happens to him. We'll see what kind of strategy he takes.
Yeah, not surprised to see him. Oh, as the caution flag flies, that could really be to his benefit. Trying to find the yellow here, not sure exactly where it is on the track yet. Scanning through, I don't see any spun around trucks, but that could really be a great break for Mr. Dean as he is on pit road, can take his service as the caution number 2 flies here tonight. I'm going to keep looking for it. Trevin, do you see anything?
We are getting word that is the number 20 machine of CJ Mason.
All right, CJ Mason, the number 20, possibly the involved party there. We'll throw it down to Joe here as he pulls up a replay for us. Trying to find it myself. Looks like he might have just looped it himself or got up near the wall off of turn 2 and bit a big piece of that inside wall sort of just by himself. Looks like the truck just pushed on him as he was leveraging that middle or high lane and couldn't hold on to it. Had to crank to the left to not hit the outside wall. As he came off the banking there as it flattens out. Too much wheel to the left, Trevin, and he had a one-way meeting to the inside barrier.
Yeah, and you know, it's just such a heartbreak, you know, trying to, you know, just trying to race your race, and you know, sometimes bad things happen. So now looking to pit road, we got our leaders down pit road. So we'll see what kind of strategy these guys will be taking. I'm pretty sure it's going to be 4 tires, but you never know.
No, I think you'd be foolish to not go with 4 tires based on what we've seen so far. 41 laps on the board. You know, I can't imagine anyone would take 2 tires at this point. There's no benefit to it. As we'll watch this race off of pit road as they continue to get their service. Left side's up on Christian Peterson. He's down and away. And there we go. 23 is going to hold the lead off of pit road.
And as I was just talking earlier, the number 25 really messed up his pit stall. It looked to be he was a little too far to the left, and then he's going to try and correct it, and he's now too far to the right, so he just tries and tries over and over again. He finally got it on the 3rd time, but that's going to lose him a lot of positions. Going in 5th, we'll see where he cycles out.
It's so easy to do. It's, you know, this thing doesn't stop like your grandma's Cadillac. I'll tell you that. I think you got it right.
A little bit of but you know, it's difficult, you know,
User
beat them on the
from
track. You're obviously going to try and beat them on pit road, and we just saw just a little bit of panic from
joined your channel.
David, or excuse me, not David, Kyle Manger. He's going to drop all the way to 11th position. So it's having a little bit of technical difficulty. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. But you know, just trying to keep your mindset into that focus of the race, and it just happens sometimes. And Kyle Manger's also going to be penalized for driving through too many pit stalls on exits. That just gives insult to injury.
Yeah, I think the technical demons might be bothering us just a little bit here on our team speak communication, but that's okay. Can't keep us away from the racetrack or bringing you the action here. But that's a great point. You try and get a little too much extra coming in, a little too much extra going out. There's a lot of ways to mess up a race. Pit road is definitely one of the biggest places you can do that, and that's the slowest place on the racetrack. You think it'd be the easiest thing to do, but truly, as race car drivers, we try to get every advantage possible. Sometimes you push that envelope a little too far, and it'll bite you and send you to the back of the pack. But fortunately for those guys, still a long way to go, but we've seen passing is not easy here tonight, so might have made it to themselves a very tough road to hoe throughout the rest of this race.
Yeah, and we'll have to see how this works out for them as well, as Dustin Dean's going to get waved around that pace car, so it's going to bring him back on that lead lap, but still has a little bit of a damaged race car out there. Obviously no fast repairs on this series, so that's going to re-rack him and restack him for a lap 47 restart. We're just going to talk about pit stops are obviously a little bit earlier than expected. We were shooting for they were shooting for lap 55, but we got them a few laps early. So we'll have to see how these guys fare for the rest of this race. Maybe a two-stop race now, and try to make it to the end to this 125 lap mark.
Yeah, I think before the caution flew, Christian Peterson had stretched his lead out over a second on the 66 there of Gabriel Wood. So really walking away there, and it would have been interesting to see how it all sorted out with green flag pit stops. We won't know now, but we have another opportunity for a long green flag run here. And now these guys have caught back up to Christian Peterson. I would not be surprised, Trevin. If I've seen it once, I've seen it at least 200,000 times. Guys get a caution, catch back up to a fast guy, and make a bold move to try and steal a position away. We'll see what happens. Pace car back to pit road. Christian Peterson gets on the loud pedal. Green flag back there. A little bit of tire spin. Oh, the 67 had to check out big. Stacked up the inside lane. It played nice, though. Oh, little contact, and around goes the 82 of Hollingsworth in front of the field. That could be problematic. Yellow flag flies. And no, the 09 William Kemp hardened the outside wall. Caution flag number 3 here on the restart.
As I was just saying, all of that tire spin's going to get up to them, and you just try so hard, and just unfortunate timing for that number 09 of William Kempf to get down and into that number 82 machine, or 82 of Stephen Hollingsworth was doing such a great job, and now he's spun, and he's going to have to fight his way back from the back, essentially, and just continue to make a battle.
A lot of damage on the 09 there as he bounced off of Hollingsworth, who was trying to figure out what was going on in front of him with all the tire spin from the leader. And it was just a sort of a chain reaction or accordion effect, as you will. And William Kempf ended up going for a ride surfboard style on the number 1 truck I saw. So a little bit of help there getting up in the air. I see someone's got a blown engine as well. That's the number 03 of Billy Tungate. So a tough break for him. Big wreck here on the front stretch. And that's what happens in front of the field. You get tire spin, and gosh, that you can get a lot of trucks collected just like that.
Yeah, such a heartbreak for all these drivers involved, and it's just going to, lead to another caution, period. And, we're going to have to see how these drivers react to them.
Yeah, that's just a part of racing. It's unfortunate, but, under our third caution, I want to take a moment to give a shout out to the people who helped get us here tonight and support the series. First of all, big shout out to Joel Real Timing. Coverage of the American Pool Supply Truck Series is brought to you by Joel Real Timing, the official timing software of LSRTV. Whether you spend your time on the sim behind the wheel or on the pit box or even from the spotter stand, Joel Real Timing is the go-to software for iRacing's timing and scoring analytics. Get yourself a basic download or get the pro version today at joelrealtiming.com. Also, a big thanks to our friends over at American Pool Supply, the title sponsor for our series here. American Pool Supply out of Las Vegas, also home to Joe Allen as well, working the controls. They are a pool supply company serving the Las Vegas Valley and St. George, Utah area for over 45 years, distributing pool products from all the major manufacturers, stock concrete plumbing, and they are an exclusive distributor of PPG chemicals. So big thanks to those guys for bringing us out here to the racetrack on LSRTV to bring you the sights and sounds of this great racing series. And Trevin, here we are, lap number 50 of 125. Christian Peterson maybe caught a break there with that wheel spin, not getting hit from behind, so probably a few things on his mind as he gets ready for the next restart.
Yeah, and, you just got to make sure that you have that, mental mindset of going into that next caution or green flag period where you got to get on that gas easily. And just easily get on that gas and make sure you don't stack it up behind you or stack it up for yourself. Because that would be catastrophic for yourself and for cars behind you, as we just saw what happened. And, also, I was to point on Stephen Hollingworth and William Kemp, the people who were just involved in that incident, are now back to 15th and 16th. Those are the last two cars on the lead lap, so that majorly, gave them a big penalty in themselves for getting all the way back there. But they have quite a few more laps to battle, so we'll have to see how it works out.
Yeah, it's a tough deal. You try and check up, as we saw the leader spin his tires, and I think they did a pretty nice job. The 67 of William Hartman did a great job to stay off of them and sort of pedal it, but when you're 2, 3, 4 rows back, you can't really see that. You got trucks in front of you, and it's hard to see that far in front of you. So when you see the green flag, you're on the throttle, you're going. You're not expecting people to slow up, and that's just sort of what we saw. And we're lucky it wasn't a bigger wreck, but that was on fresh tires, just cold temperatures as they go at a slower speed here on the pace lap. So tricky stuff all around, but I think we're lucky to have as many trucks still running when you have a big wreck up front like that.
Yeah, just great awareness for all those drivers behind them to not make that a bigger mess than it was. So they're just going to have to do a great job throughout the night of avoiding all those wrecks if there are any more. And, we saw just a great green flag run last time, and we saw what happens when there's too long of a green flag run without pitting, and drivers get up into the outside wall. Unfortunate for the driver who it was, Dustin Dean, I believe it was, or no, excuse me. Yeah, Dustin Dean. So, just unfortunate timing for him, and, we'll have to see how this works out for him throughout the rest of the race. But we're going to go back green flag racing on lap number 52. It's going to be great.
So far, been a pretty good show up to this point. Maybe, I maybe gave him a little bit of bad luck or some foreshadowing of saying caution flag may lead to more cautions, as they like to say, but we'll see as they get rolling here. Christian Peterson again, big wiggle on the throttle there. The 67 has to check up again. They keep it rolling straight. My goodness, Peterson was very ambitious with the throttle there, and it jumped out, nearly bit him. But we are side by side for the lead, working through 1 and 2. Still, Peterson out front by a nose on the 66, but look at the run to the outside. Gabriel Wood takes the lead away down the backstretch.
I think what happened was Christian Peterson maybe got off the throttle a little bit more than he intended. He might have gotten a little bit loose coming out of that corner, but now he's just getting freight trained on that top side. We'll have to see where he shuffles out. It's about 4th place, and now the number 1 of Reese Bam is trying to get around him, as well as the number 5, also trying to follow Reese, trying to get around him as well. So we'll have to see him battle back. He's down to 4th place, and that gives Gabriel Wood the lead for now. So just a crazy twist of events.
Oh, caution is going to come out down the backstretch. The 5 is around off of turn 2. He's collected the 19. He's also collected the 10 of Jeff Devine as well. Oh, a huge wreck down the backstretch. And it all started with the number 23 of Christian Peterson slowing up off the exit of turn 2 and created a huge wreck behind him down the backstretch.
Just unfortunate placement for all these drivers. They're just so close, and, I think we're having a little bit of trouble with Christian Peterson. He's not really the one who does stuff like that, but I don't know if he was the initiator of that, but definitely had some part of it to react the number 5 of Derek Paulson the way that he did. Either he was reacting to what could have possibly been an incident up ahead of him with the 23 and the 1 getting into each other. He could have seen that coming, or thought he saw that coming and reacted a little bit, and which got the 19 into him, or it just could have been something that he didn't feel comfortable with, and he thought he was going to spin out, so he let off a little bit and eventually wrecked himself. So really just in a catch-22 right there.
Yeah, looking back at it, it's really tough to say. Peterson was definitely struggling on that restart. We saw he gave up a few positions, and it just looked like the truck wasn't up to full speed as they worked through 1 and 2 there. Had the 1 jump to his outside, Reese Bayham jumped to the outside and kind of bottled everything up. It was just a wad of trucks behind him, 2 wide, about 4 rows deep, and they just had nowhere to go. And you saw the 5 all of a sudden just swap the front end with the rear end, and it was on from there, collecting at least 4 or 5 trucks. I saw the 82 of Hollingsworth go around down the backstretch as well, so he's had an exciting evening after having a very good start. Sort of gone south for him. And out of all this, the lead has been handed over to the number 66 of Gabriel Wood. Got that great restart, took the lead away, and has brought William Hartman up to second, brought Gerald Campbell up to third, John Theodore to fourth, and Kyle Manger now up to fifth. So a new face up front in this race has seemingly been sort of dumped on its head all of a sudden.
Yeah, what happened was we were looking back at our pit road, and we weren't sure what happened, but Christian Peterson did not take tires. He is still on his old set, so that's exactly what happened. You know, that's exactly why he had a lot of tire spin coming into the restarts, and that's why he didn't really have a lot of grip going in the turn. So very, very unfortunate timing for him. So we'll have to see what he does throughout the rest of this race, because, you know, obviously you can't keep on racing like this. You're just going to injure yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, you know, it's an interesting strategy, and, you know, definitely it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, of course. But, you know, you got to think, when you have a limited set of tires and everyone's sort of doing the same thing, you try and do something a little bit outside of the box like that, I'm not sure it's going to bear the best results. But I tell you, when you get these caution flags and these caution laps, it really makes you feel good about that strategy. So perhaps he's done something nobody else considered, banking on the fact that if he could get a yellow, it might lead to a few more yellows. And we've seen that after not getting a yellow for a long time. We've had 3 pretty rapid fire from lap 42, lap 47, and lap 53 most recently. So 3 cautions in the span of about 10 laps, really helping out the guys trying to work some different strategy.
And Jeff Ryan will take his car behind the wall. Very unfortunate day for him as well. John Lyday as well, and, you know, just a number of vehicles have taken it behind the wall. You know, just unfortunate days for them here at Texas Motor Speedway, and we still have a little bit of racing to go, coming to the lap 57, and you know, just seeing obviously a lot of different strategies going on right now, but Gabriel Wood able to take away the race lead along with William Hartman. Now, your new 1-2 position takers, and Christian Peterson all the way back in 6th place. So I would assume once he gets back on those tires, those fresh sets of Goodyears, he's going to be able to, you know, really pull away and catch up to where he was before.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch the new tires come through the field, as these guys, even with a couple of laps on their tires, can make a big difference from the guys that are on fresh rubber. I bet you it's worth at least 2 or 3 tenths a lap if they can get a clean lap in, those guys on the fresh rubber. So it'll feel like Superman flying through the field, but he's got to be careful to not make contact, as we are on 1 lap to go. And perhaps, Trevin, now we will see these guys settle down a little bit, but new face out front in Gabriel Wood in that 66. We'll see if he can get away on a restart a little bit better than Christian Peterson, who struggled a couple times, and maybe the wheel spin will not be such a factor for the 66.
Yeah, but we are going to have to keep an eye on that number 23 machine. So that number 23 machine could do some more tire spins, so we have to watch for that. Gabriel Wood really trying to look for a good restart to extend his lead in going into the first turn, so he doesn't really have to battle with William Hartman and then let Jared Campbell and John Theodore try and catch up to them. So we'll have to see how this works out for him.
Pace car is off, field in the hands of the 66 of Gabriel Wood. He's down and away clean, no wheel spin there, and opens up a nice 1 truck length lead over the number 67 as they work down into turn number 1 side by side. Looks like everyone's a little more cautious here. Perhaps some words of encouragement from the administrative staff to tell them to clean it up a little bit. Much cleaner and greener through 1 and 2 as the 66 of Tyler Wood shows the way. I'm sorry, Gabriel Wood shows the way.
And now we have the number 84 machine of John Theodore trying to battle away with Kyle Manger, who had that terrible pit stop, but is really making up for it now, up into that 4th position now and trying to set his sights on that top 3 positions. So we'll see how this works out for him. William Hartman trying to stalk that number of Gabriel Wood, maybe put a little bit of pressure on him, trying to, you know, force him into a mistake. But we also have Christian Peterson, again, falling back. Just those old tires aren't working out for him, but maybe he's trying to do something completely different. As you see now, Paul Henley, I believe that is, going up on that outside, and Matthew Murphy trying to follow as well. Jeremy Adams a little bit further behind with a little bit of damage. I don't know if he's going to get to him but we'll have to watch that as well. We'll see when he pits, that he being Christian Peterson. So that'll be interesting to see. And he's just fallen all the way back to 11th position from what his starting position was with first position, as now we see the number 67 of William Hartman going around the bottom side and taking that lead away from Gabriel Wood. Now we have single filed out, and it's getting a little bit more calmer. But, the 06 is also trying to look to get around Gabriel Wood. Just another great racing battle off of turn two different lines working out for them. And now William Hartman trying to run away with it, pulling a little bit of a gap going into turn number 1.
Great move off of turn 2 there to sweep under the number 66 of Wood. Now put William Hartman out front, taking over this lead here at lap number 60, now on lap 61. Coming to the halfway mark of lap 62. We've seen 3 different leaders now between Christian Peterson, Gabriel Wood, and now William Hartman. So Hartman squirts away to a nice-sized lead off of 4. See if he can hold serve up front. As let's do a full field rundown now, as we're about halfway through this race, Trevin. Why don't you lead us off and work our way through this field, tell you where your favorite driver is running.
William Hartman just taking that P1 position away from Gabriel Wood. He'll be on the top of the scoring pylon. Gabriel Wood, P2. Jared Campbell, P3. Kyle Manger, P4. John Theodore, P5. P6 will go to Reese Bayham. Stephen Hollingsworth, P7. Dustin Dean will work P8. P9 goes to Paul Henley. And Matthew Murphy rounds out your top 10.
As they flash by the start-finish line one more time, we'll see where the rest of the field runs. As this updates, I don't want to jump to it too quickly. Looks like it's going to be Christian Peterson, who's led the bulk of this race, now falling back to 11th on those old tires. Jeremy Adams in 12th, James Krahula in 13th, Derek Paulson 14th, Tyler Dalton, Jeremy Watkins, Jeff Ryan, William Kempf in 18th, Billy Tungate running 19th, and John Lyday there in 20th. Out of the race, I believe, are the rest of these drivers as well. CJ Mason, Todd Novosad, Josh Dietz, Bo Givens, and Sean Cross there in 25th. The last driver scored. So 26 drivers, I think, took time. 25 hit the grid, so that's your 25 truck field rundown, all shown around by William Hartman there in the number 67 out front by about 0.3 of a second over Gabriel Wood.
And that's been a look at your iRacing Midway race break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, visit iRacing.com to sign up today. Thanks to our friends at Rallycross, you can now visit iRacing.com/membership to use your code PR-GRC for an opportunity to start your career on iRacing with 3 months for only $5. That's promo code PR-GRC for new members only. And iRacing is the world's premier online racing game with professionally organized racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, and more. That's been a look at your iRacing Midway race break.
Wow, 3 months for $5. That's pretty good. If you're not doing this already and you're watching this for the first time and want to jump in on the action, that's about as good a deal as you will ever see. $5 for 3 months of action on iRacing. And the service gets better all the time, Trevin, as you can attest to. They just keep working and working on the service, putting out updates seemingly every week, trying to make things better, add more tracks, more cars, and better technology to use. And we're seeing it on display here tonight as these boys of the American Pool Supply Truck Series are getting it done at Texas. 66 laps up on the board out of 125. Trevin, we've seen some comers and some goers. Who do you like at this point to possibly take the checkered flag at the completion of lap 125?
Gabriel Wood has been up in the mix this whole entire time, so I'm going to be looking for him. But also, you just cannot count out Christian Peterson. I know he's not having really a great run right now, but wait until he gets fresh tires, and he's just going to use those good years and just bolt off back into first position. I've seen it happen before, and I guarantee he can do it again. Stephen Hollingsworth as well has really worked his way back from about 13th, 14th position from that previous incident, so he's doing pretty good as well. But I'm thinking Christian Peterson or Gabriel Wood will be able to take this win.
That's a bold bet on Peterson at this point, as he's back there in 11th position, about 11, almost 12 seconds off the lead, using that unique strategy, still running on the tires that he started the race with, now 68 laps in. I struggle to understand how that strategy is necessarily going to work out, because they get a caution, everyone comes in and pits. He's not going to gain any track position. He's only losing time to the leader right now, so even if he takes new tires, I'm not sure the delta will be good enough for him to make it up on the fresh rubber.
You know, you always got to start somewhere, and you know, Christian Peterson, you know, he's been known to make some interesting choices, but you know, they always really work out for him in the end. So I have some pretty good confidence that he's going to be able to make some strategy. I don't know what his plan is at this point, but you know, it's an interesting call for sure. So we'll have to see how this works out. Maybe saving an extra set, knowing, maybe banking on the fact that there's going to be a late race restart, and he's going to save that extra set that he could have used right there for that late race restart. But we'll have to see what happens. You know, usually he has a good car at the end of the race as well. So we'll have to see how that works out for him. Looking towards the front, we still have William Hartman, Gabriel Wood, and Jared Campbell. Top 3 positions, and you know, just looking through the field, seeing if there's a battle, and there is, as I speak, for P10. 14 of Dustin Dean and Matthew Murray battling it out, going down the backstretch right now, and you know, really just staying side by side. Again, 2 different lines, really working out. And if you remember, Dustin Dean's the one that got into that outside wall and rubbed off those sidewalls for the Goodyear tires, and has a little bit of damage, but able to hang tight with that number 87 to Matthew Murphy. He's going to take that 9th position away from him. And, you know, now he's going to have to fall back and just follow him in line.
Yeah, not a bad recovery overall, I think, for 14 and Dustin Dean. Sporting a unique take on the bodywork there on the right front and on the right rear. That spoiler crumpled up a little bit, the right front fender bent in a little bit on the tire, but seemingly not much worse for the wear as he continues to get around here. He's probably a couple tenths off the leader's pace right now, but considering what it could have been, I think he's lucky to still be in the top 10 at this point. But, you know, I guess going back to Christian Peterson and his unique strategy, he wouldn't be second in the points if he didn't know what he was doing. I'll give him credit for that. I don't want to sound like a complete boo-bird on his strategy. It's tough to understand right now how it may work, but, you know, sometimes in racing, the things that you don't think work ultimately end up working in your favor, and you look like a genius. So it'll be fun to see if he comes back and wins this thing, Trevin. You can definitely rub my face in that one, because you are predicting him to make a charge back up to the front.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I didn't even ask you, who do you think after 73 laps, who do you think is going to take that win?
At this point, it's tough to, you know, say anything other than the guys in the top 2. And since you already picked Gabriel Wood, I'll put my money on the 67 of William Hartman. I like the pace that he's running. I think he's doing a great job out front as well. Held off Gabriel Wood, sort of keeping him 2 to 3 tenths behind him as they run around the racetrack. So, you know, I think he'll continue to do that, and ultimately I believe this race will be won on pit road. If it stays green, whoever can execute a green flag pit stop the best. But I'll say William Hartman continues to lead the race around, and when the checkered flag drops, it'll be over the number 67.
Yeah, great great prediction right there. And you know, just coming to these final laps, and you know, it's just gonna be great to see how these guys will be able to use their strategy and you know, just fare with each other throughout the rest of this race. David?
It's, you know, you get into these long green flag runs, and not that anybody hates to see long green flag runs, because that's when the strategy comes in and the driver tire management comes in. So, you know, it's good to see these guys get around, and really it's driver against driver at this point. So, you know, nobody wants to see wrecks all the time, and we certainly had our fair share there for about 10 laps. But it's good to see these guys get out, run laps, and really shows off the skill that these guys have behind the wheel of managing their tires, managing their truck, but also trying to get into each other's head to say, hey, you know, I'm out here, I'm running these laps. What can you do to stop me? What can you do to pass me? So far, no one's been able to stop or pass William Hartman over the last 20 laps, as he is really starting to pull away now by over a half a second over Gabriel Wood.
And looking back a little bit more, we have a 3-car battle for 5th position with Reese Bayham, John Theodore, and Stephen Hollingsworth trying to get around each other. And, you know, it's just a very close race going through all of this. And, you know, they know it's getting down to crunch time, so they're going to have to see how they work with each other. And, you know, it's getting good here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. You know, just been seeing a lot of different strategy working around each other, so we'll have to see how these guys work out. And, you know, a little battle going around. The number 82 is Stephen Hollingworth trying to make that bottom side move around John Theodore. He gets into the wall a little bit coming off of turn 2, so that's going to give Stephen Hollingsworth a good way to go into that corner, and he will take that position away for 6th place. Now he's going to have to get around to Reese Bayham.
Yeah, good little battle there, as we saw, and you have sort of these pockets around the racetrack as we sort of scroll through and look, and that was a really exciting pocket of racing. Reese Bayham doing a great job in that number 1 truck, holding down the 5th position, and Stephen Hollingsworth in that 82 now in 6th. For as many times as he's been spun around, the fact that he's in 6th tells me he does a great job of getting himself out of a bad situation. Got a sort of a crinkled up front end and a little bit of damage there, but really still getting around the racetrack pretty well. So hats off to Stephen Hollingsworth in the number 82. If you're a fan of his, certainly understandable. A lot of tenacity, never given up here tonight despite being in a few incidents.
Yeah, really just a great bounce back, from Stephen Hollingsworth, as you know, he got involved in that incident earlier, as you just pointed on, and you know, he's really made his way up. And Christian Peterson's still 20 seconds behind now, so we'll have to see what his plan is. I'd assume it's just, you know, wait for that caution to come out inevitably, and you know, try to restack him and then, you know, make some quick work. So yeah, we'll see how this works out for him in the long run. And William Hartman's still in the lead.
Well, no change up front, as you said. It's been all William Hartman out front. He's got 80 laps up on the board. Let's take a moment to step away and pay some bills and say hello to some of our sponsors and tell you a little bit more about the exciting things coming to the iRacing software. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment here on LSRTV. All right, back at the track here, Texas Motor Speedway. It is the American Pool Supply Truck Series here on LSRTV. I'm David Schildhouse, joined alongside by my Brackhouse partner up here in the booth, and Joe Allen down working in the controls, bringing all the sights and sounds, and Trevin. I've enjoyed being up here in the booth with you. It's been a lot of fun. These trucks getting around the Texas Motor Speedway pretty well at a good clip now, 83 laps up on the board. We look ahead 1 week from now. I believe we got Talladega up on the schedule. That's always a fun show to watch. What do you think we're going to see next week at the plate track?
Well, you know, it's really different to see all these different tracks because, you know, as we know about this series, the people who watch this religiously, you know, this is a very interesting schedule that we got going on. We have, you know, NASCAR tracks, then we have, of course, Eldora, but we also have 2 tracks or 3 tracks that really aren't on the regular schedule. Actually, now that I think about it, about 7 or 8 tracks on the schedule. And now, but it's just a different kind of schedule, and now we're just going to talk about this lead coming. You see Gabriel Wood trying to make that work on that bottom side of number 67, and maybe use Justin Dean as a little pick, but no, he stays out of the way, and very close to clipping that nose of the number 67, and William Hartman does a good job of, you know, cutting that air off, and Gabriel Wood does a great job of saving his car as well, and not really, you know, just getting into each other and taking each other out for the race lead. And because we've seen that before, we have seen other series where that has happened before. So we'll have to watch what happens. You know, I think what's happening is Gabriel Wood has really saved his tires a little bit more, because you see him just building that gap, or excuse me, closing the gap and going into turn number 1. And you know, he got to that back bumper right there, but again, number 67, William Hartman's able to pull away a little bit, so maybe saving those Goodyear tires a little bit more.
Mr. Valderrama, my rear end puckered just a little bit when I saw them dicing it up around that lap car. No sooner do I say that does the caution flag fly once again, as I see the number 4 of James Carahula spinning around in that neon yellow Chevy Silverado with a beat-up front end. Taking a look at what we have here, it looks like, oh my goodness gracious, there was a truck stopped in the middle of the backstretch, the number 09 of William Kempf, and James Grahula was doing everything he could to avoid him. My goodness, what a situation there. That was bad, and it almost got worse.
Yeah, an interesting situation that we had indeed. You always got to expect the unexpected, but again, I think Christian Peterson might have just, oh wait, he's a lap down. Oh, so we have about 8 cars on the lead lap, so that's going to throw a wrench in everything as well. Maybe Christian Peterson had that green flag run a little bit longer than what he was expecting, so we'll have to watch what happens there. But as you're looking at your screens right now, William Kempf just goes in that inside lane, hits that inside wall, and James Grahula nearly avoids him.
Yeah, that's about as close as it gets, and a long slide for the 4 up into the outside wall. It's a tough break. But looking back, it looks like Christian Peterson did hit pit road on lap number 81, coming to lap 82, and then the yellow flag flew shortly after that, a few laps later. So bad luck for him. The strategy seemingly not playing out his favor. I think he'll be able to take the wave around at this point. I do believe that the leaders will have pitted, and he can take a wave around. So it may not be a game over for Christian Peterson, but the strategy definitely didn't play out the way that he was hoping, as William Hartman takes the lead off of pit road, or holds the lead off of pit road, I should say, as number 66 of Gabriel Wood will stay second. Kyle Manger up to third now, and Gerald Campbell off fourth. So an interesting little swap there on pit road. But the big news there, Christian Peterson in a position where he'll have to take the wave around to get back on the lead lap after making that green flag pit stop.
Yeah, just great racing all around tonight so far. And, Gabriel Wood had a great long run car. We saw him just closing that gap. William Hartman had a little bit of a gap on him, but after a few laps, he was able to close that gap really quickly. So, great long run car. Maybe not such a great short run, but great long run car. So we'll have to see how that works out for him in the long run. Long run a lot. Just great car. Gabriel Wood, again, I feel like I picked a great car to, continue this. So we'll have to see how these cautions work out for the rest of this race, because it's coming down to the wire. We have about 35 laps left, and, these guys know that they are going to have to, kick it in the high gear and continue to push to get their way to that top spot.
Yeah, as we see now, another caution, the fifth caution of the night, excuse me. Not bad for a race overall, I would say, and probably 3 of those, again, within a 10-lap span. So really a pretty clean race overall. And with Christian Peterson now at the tail end of the lead lap, and he'll get the wave around here as they get 1 to go to get back around. That'll put him in 10th, so it'll be 10 cars on the lead lap. Peterson with a couple laps on those tires. That will be something to watch to see if he can do anything as he works his way now around the pace car. If he can do anything to pass the other race trucks that just pitted, because, I believe, as I said earlier, even with 1 or 2 laps on your tires up against a guy that just pitted, you're really at a disadvantage.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you're going to start seeing different guys use different kinds of runs around this track. So, you have now two different tires. So we'll have to see how these guys work out in the long run. So William Hartman's still up in the lead right now. Maybe lights are out on the pace car, so we're going to have to come back on lap number 91. And it's getting really down to the end of this race.
Yeah, the closing stage is now 90 on the board, which means 35 to go right now. It'll be 34 to go when they throw the green flag. So seemingly, I believe these guys can make it to the end if there's no more yellows. I could be wrong on that. I'm not 100% sure on the fuel economy, but maybe they can make it to the end. Maybe they have to make 1 more pit stop. That could be interesting if they do. If it stays green, do you sort of cut it in half, which a lot of guys like to do, so you're on the freshest tires for the same amount of time in each stint? Or do you try and play for another yellow and think save a set of tires there for maybe a 4, 5, 6 lap shootout at the end? So a lot of strategies come into play here, but we got 90 laps down, 35 to go. Field is in the hands of William Hartman. Pace car is off down pit road. Looking for the green flag here for another restart. It is on. The 67 is away. Good restart again on that inside lane. The 66 of Gabriel Wood kind of napping a little bit. That brings the 25 of Kyle Manger up to the second spot to challenge there, as they are down through turn number 1.
Gabriel Wood working that high side, trying to get around William Hartman, but he's got to fall in line to that third position, see what he can do with the number 25 of Kyle Manger, seeing that he's going to try and go on that bottom side as well, going to turn 3, trying to arc it in pretty well, and now he's going to have to fight so hard on that bottom side, maybe use up a little bit more of those tires than he wants to, but we'll see how it works out for him going to that quad oval now, and trying to cross that finish line before Kyle Manger, but he's not going to do it. Going into turn number 1, still door to door. Now he's going to be able to pass him fairly quickly and keep those left side tires right on that white line to help rotate that car. But that, in the meantime, that's going to let William Hartman be able to pull away very, very quickly. And, you know, just love to see those cars get smaller in their rearview mirror. And now Gary Wood's going to have to set sights on William Hartman and try to pass him quickly.
Hartman checking out and setting sail, loving what he's seeing behind him, side-by-side battle. I think Kyle Manger realized going into turn 1 the last time by, no point in fighting on the outside. He's just going to use up his tires and probably lose the position anyway, so he sort of checked up, fell into line, and was going to follow the 66 around, realizing the main prize is ahead of him, and that number 67 of William Hartman. So you can't worry about the guy that's in second. You got to get up to the leader. Maybe they can work together here, work that draft. 2 trucks are faster than 1, even here at a quad oval. If they can work that draft, get down the straightaways, and reel in the 67, that might be the ticket for Kyle Manger in the 25, to just work his way up and become the 4th different leader here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you're just have to work together, stay single file, and just keep calm, cool, collected. You only got a minimal amount of laps to go, about 20 laps to go, or excuse me, 30 laps to go, and it's doing quick math here in LSRTV. Gotta love it.
It's not our strong suit. Don't worry about it.
And you know, just knowing that you have those amount of laps left, and just trying so hard to continue this push and keep pressure onto William Hartman, maybe force him into a mistake. Again, we've seen it here before in this CEA Truck Series, so maybe it'll happen again. You know, you always just got to make sure that that guy knows he's right behind you.
Yeah, you know, it might not be professional racing, but I can tell you as a guy that's done it myself, and Trevin, I'm sure you can speak to this as well, you get into those closing laps, heart beats a little bit faster, the pulse raises just a little bit, and maybe you get a little sweaty in the palms knowing you're very, very close to scoring a feature win. Everyone loves to win when they hit the racetrack, and as you get closer, you think about that, but you got to stay focused, especially if you're out front, not make a mistake to throw away your race. And right now, I think Gabriel Wood's in a good position. He's in second. He's got his mark there in front of him of William Hartman, the leader. He's just got to take his time. He's got plenty of laps still to chase him down. But as they say, Trevin, catching them is one thing, passing them is another.
Yeah, and we've seen it's a little bit difficult to pass. You know, once you get a lane that you're comfortable with, all of a sudden it just changes up, and all of a sudden the other lane is a lot quicker than what you were originally with. And taking a look back at Christian Peterson, he's just trying to get around that number 87 of Matthew Murphy, trying to get up to that top position. So I'll have to watch an eye on that. And number 84, I believe that's the 84. Let me take a look real quick. The 06, my bad, just past the 84 position. That's going to be for a 6th place position. And great run on him. And, you know, just watching all of these drivers spread out a little bit and continue to battle throughout the rest of this race. Christian Peterson, again, just trying to get his way up into the battle after that interesting decision that he made to take no tires in the early parts of this race, and you know, really has bit him after a lot of laps. So we'll have to see how it works out for him coming to 100 laps completed here at Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, I'm not going to beat my chest and say that I was correct in saying it was a difficult strategy to understand for Christian Peterson, but seemingly, I don't think he could have predicted the yellow was going to fly when he pitted under green, and I think he was expecting it to stay green. So, it's made it very difficult for him. He's only up to 9th after restarting 10th, about 4.5 seconds off the lead. So, at the time, it seemed like something that may have worked, but now as the tides have shifted in this race, they have not shifted in his favor. And track position is everything right now, and the guys up front seem to have the best chance, but William Hartman is growing his lead over Gabriel Wood up to 0.7 of a second that last time by, and really putting down some sporty laps right now is that number 67 as he adds another 0.2 to his lead. So things are going the way of the 67 right now.
Yeah, they are, absolutely. And, William Hartman, ever since he took that lead, he's just been putting on an absolute clinic after that pass of Gabe Wood. So, just great running by him so far. after all the laps that he's led. And now Christian Peterson's going to try and get to that back bumper. He nearly got in the back of the 87 in that left quarter panel, and now he's on that white line. We saw his car get a little bit sideways right there. He is trying so hard and, you know, using those Goodyear tires up every single possible inch that he can, all over the back bumper of Matthew Murphy, as well as John Theodore right in front of Matthew Murphy. So he's going to have to make quick work if he wants to any shot of taking that race lead. But, you know, just giving him the benefit of the doubt and seeing what he can do after that interesting race call.
Yeah, I can see Christian Peterson is definitely pushing harder than he was earlier in the race. He knows he has to make up position. We talked about at the top of the show, Trevin, no Seth the Merchant here tonight, so really a golden opportunity for Christian Peterson to make up points on the Merchant, and it looked like he was going to have a great shot at winning this thing early on when he was leading for so many laps. But again, that interesting strategy, he may have outthought himself. Now he's looking back in the 9th position, possibly able to get up to 7th if he can work his way around these 2 race trucks. But again, may have cheated himself out of some points by trying to go above and beyond. And we'll see how it all plays out, but he could walk out of here very disappointed if he doesn't finish up front, knowing he left a lot of points on the table.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I'm sure what was going through his head is, you know, Christian Peterson isn't here, so I got to try something unique, something different to make sure that I stay up front and continue just to make great passes for the lead. And, you know, obviously he bit off more than he could chew, and, you know, it really has come back to bite him. But now he's just battling so hard against Matthew Murphy right now, able to make a pass on John Theodore, and we'll see him do that low side and see what happens right now. Maybe Matthew Murphy went up a little bit too high, saying, hey, take the position. I don't want to bite my tires off too much, quite possibly trying to do a little bit of a crossover. But now they're coming up on lap traffic. That's Dustin Dean, I believe. That's number 14. Yes, it is. And that'll put him a lap down. So, you know, it's just great to see him battling back. But again, you know, just really hard to, you know, overcome that, as you see the number 1 and 25 now battling it out. That's the 06 of Jared Campbell and the number 1 of Brees Bam. Little switcheroo right there, I believe it was. And now Jared Campbell will go up to that 4th position, and Reese Bam will fall to that 5th position. So another little change for position, and Kyle Manger really just holding tough in that 3rd position.
Yeah, about 3 seconds off the lead is Kyle Manger in the number 25. Gabriel Wood looked like he was starting to trim down the lead ever so slightly. Brought it back down to about a half a second as they flash by the start-finish line again, and timing and scoring updates. Looks like William Hartman will now enjoy about a 6th to almost 7/10 of a second lead. So Gabriel Wood gave her a little bit of a run, made up a couple of tenths, maybe falling back again just a little bit as we have less than 20 laps to go. Really, the guys that are like a Christian Peterson or even a Kyle Manger, they're going to need a yellow if they have any tires left in their pits to take on and try and make one more run at this thing. If not, I'm not so sure William Hartman has really just put together the perfect strategy and the right race pace to hold the lead and not have to worry about Gabriel Wood whatsoever.
Yeah, you know, Gabriel Wood just trying everything he can, trying different lines, and, you know, just banking on the fact that there's a caution, hoping, praying to the racing gods that there's going to be something that's going to happen to help him out. But right now we just have single file all over the track. You know, Christian Peterson able to pull a little bit of a gap on the people that he just passed, so we'll have to see on that. And now going to try and get up to the back bumper of Paul Henley very quickly, but we'll have to watch that, as now I believe that the number 25 and the number 06 are going to pass some lap traffic, so that gets them around that lap traffic very quickly. And you know, you see just Christian Peterson close that gap so quickly, so maybe he is in the running. I don't know if he's going to have enough laps, but maybe he might get himself a top 5, top 3 finish. Either way, great run for him so far.
Yeah, I think it's going to be too little too late for him in this case, but a valiant effort nonetheless. We nearly got a caution, Trev, and I was looking back through the field just to see what was going on. And the number 14 of Dustin Dean was spun around on the front stretch all by himself, luckily able to retire the vehicle before anyone else came, and the game threw a yellow flag for him. That would have been embarrassing. But we nearly got that caution flag that would have completely changed everything. So I doubt that Hartman would have been very pleased if that had happened. So no worse for the wear, and everything continues under green. But as you were speaking, we nearly got that game-changing yellow.
And, you know, William Hartman might have been really upset, but then Christian Peterson would have been like, thank you so much. It's going to give me a good time to reset, get new tires, and, you know, really push for that lead. So, you know, we've all been there where it's just a self-spin, and, you know, it's something that we learn from and we bounce back harder from. So we'll have to see what comes next week at Talladega. Again, you know, just a unique racing schedule that I was pointing on before. You know, we got really good racing going on, but, you know, we also have Virginia International Raceway coming up in 2 weeks' time, and, you know, it's just going to be an interesting race because that's not really a traditional NASCAR track that we use. And then we have Myrtle Beach as well, and then Eldora coming up, and Knoxville really was an interesting race to see how these trucks really fared on that track, and it was just a really great race to watch. And, you know, I love the series because, you know, it's just so different, and, you know, so many rules are implemented to make this racing exciting, so many different tracks that we watch, and it's just a great race all around. So now Christian Peterson trying to get up to that number 1 of Reese Bam for that 5th position, trying to recover to a top 5 position, and you're seeing him work a little bit under that number 1 machine. We'll see if he can clear him coming off of turn 4. No, it's going to be door to door coming off turn 4. See who gets it going into turn number 1. Christian Peterson battling back so hard, and Reese Bayham really trying to hold that position, but it's not going to happen as he's going to pass him fairly easily going into turn number 1. As I say that, number 1 is going to get a good run off the corner in mid-section, but now Christian Peterson gets a better run off that corner, so that's going to be able to clear him down the backstretch.
You know, I've been watching the relative gap between Christian Peterson and William Hartman, the leader, and he's been holding it, sometimes running faster laps than our leader as he's passing cars. It truly gives you an idea of just how skilled and talented Christian Peterson is, especially in this series, on a little bit older tire than some of the competition. And had he not gone through the strategy and falling a lap down, losing all of his track position, he very well probably would be up front battling for this lead, if not taking the win himself. So kind of interesting to watch as he works his way through the field and has now guaranteed himself at least a top 5 position if nothing else changes. So a great fight through. He's got a little bit of a ways to go to catch Gerald Campbell in the number 06, about 2 seconds to be exact. And speaking of 2 seconds, that is the distance between the leader and second place Gabriel Wood. So William Hartman driving away into the night as we're getting ready to take 10 laps to go.
Yeah, Gabriel Wood just trying to hold on to anything that he can, and you know, just hoping for a caution, I'm sure, and coming to 10 laps to go, as you just mentioned, and you know, great battling all around. You know, we had quite I believe it's 2 green flag runs with a little bit of cautions in between that, but, you know, just for the most part, great racing, clean racing, spreading each other out, and just making sure that you're good to go and that you have a good race car to handle all the way through this. So, you know, really, really great racing from all these guys, and, you know, always week in, week out, it's great racing. But, you know, to see this happen again and again, it's just really giving a testament to how amazing these guys are on this track.
Yeah, nothing short of a fantastic spectacle we've been treated to here tonight at the Texas Motor Speedway. 5 yellows by my count, 3 different leaders over the course of these 116 laps now, as we are under 10 laps to go. William Hartman showing the way. He's been showing the way for a while now. Took the lead away from Gabriel Wood a while back and hasn't looked back since. Now his lead swells to almost 2.5 seconds. So, Trevin, I'll put it to you in the closing laps. If you're William Hartman, you're just sort of putting it on cruise and taking it easy at this point, right? You know you're a little bit faster than your competition, and you don't want to push the truck too hard because you pretty much got a win locked up at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you just got to make sure that that number 66 of Gabriel Wood doesn't really get to you and doesn't really make a big statement in the mirror of your car, because then you'll be thinking, I got to push a little bit harder, and that's when mistakes happen. So, you know, just a great run by him. Great run once he took that lead by William Hartman, and, you know, really what all started is Christian Peterson really making that interesting call, and he nearly gets in the wall a little bit right there, so maybe pushing it a lot harder than he wants to be. We'll have to see how this all works out for him. William Hartman, again, just dominant. Haven't really seen his name pop up a lot on this series. Was looking through the point standings right now, and you know, I can't really find him, but for second place, there's a battle going on right now, David.
Yeah, this is a great battle here. The 66 of Gabriel Wood has fallen into the clutches of Kyle Manger, working that bottom side, seemingly held onto his tires a little bit better than Gabriel Wood, and they are side by side, so looking to swap around positions here as they fight within the podium spots. And let's not count out the number 06, Gerald Campbell, lurking there in fourth, keeping a very interested eye on these two guys here in front of him as they are still side by side. Past the start-finish line, give the advantage to the 25 that time of Manger, as we are at 6 laps to go here. You really want to fight hard if you're Gabriel Wood, but his tires are probably screaming for their life as he fades away, and now the 25 will clear himself off of turn 2. New man in the second position, Kyle Manger, put Gabriel Wood back to third. Gerald Campbell holding there in fourth. Look at Christian Peterson lurking in the shadows. I don't know he's got enough time to catch up to these guys, but what a great run to give a call to Kyle Manger there in the 25 in the second position.
Absolutely, and you know the reason why I couldn't really find his name is because this is his first race in the CEA Truck Series. So you know, really making a statement here tonight at Texas, and now it appears that Gabriel Wood's going to lose another position to the 06 of Jared Campbell. But going back to William Hartman, just putting on an absolute clinic here tonight for his first race. Again, making a statement, making sure people know his name by the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. What a fine way to come into the series and make a name for yourself than to come out here and run in the top 2, albeit about 3 seconds off the leader, William Hartman. And let's just talk about William Hartman here before we get too far gone, before the checkered flag flies here on William Hartman. Trying to find information on him as well. Tough to find his name. He's out here just putting it to him. I mean, really doing the work of Seth the Merchant, if we're going to borrow from another name of a guy that's dominated this series. He's got himself lined up here as he's got just a few laps left, but really great to see new names up front. Guys come out here, run really strong, and put on a great race. So tip of the cap to these guys. I can't wait to talk to them after this race is done. Yeah, absolutely. And now we have 10 laps to go. Gabriel Wood gets a little loose. That's going to give Christian Peterson an open door to get around him, and now he went. Last time I checked on him, he was about 5 seconds behind. Now he's 3 seconds, and now he's passing Gabriel Wood for fourth place. But again, it's just gonna be a little too late. But maybe he can get into that third place position with about 3.5 or 2.5 laps to go, rather. And you know, just an absolute great bounce back again by Christian Peterson, that number 23 machine. Trevin, I have to apologize. I completely was speaking about the wrong driver, as you were saying, talking about our leader, William Hartman, in his first start here. I was just not paying enough attention. I apologize. That was a great point. As the number 25, Kyle Manger, has made some starts in this series, so my apologies to just basically reiterate everything you just said, but you know what? It's so amazing. It was worth saying twice. I'll just say that as we are coming up to 2 laps to go for our leader, William Hartman. And Trevin, just a great clinic. He's going to come out here, assuming nothing changes, and get himself a W. That's a great way to spend a Sunday night. Absolutely. You can ask for a better way to start your series here out in the CEA Truck Series, and you know, going to Talladega next week with a great head of steam as well. And you know, Talladega is always going to be a great race no matter what, with a lot of bump drafting and a lot of you know, working around each other. But for now, we're at Texas and we're coming to the final lap, David. So why don't you take us home? Well, it's been a fun night of a lot of action, some yellows and some comers and goers, 3 different leaders. But when it's all said and done, William Hartman is going to be the guy that's going to have the biggest smile on his face as he gets the white flag. 1 more lap to go as he works his way around the 1.5-mile Texas Motor Speedway. No challenge from behind as his lead over Kyle Manger now 3 seconds. Just a wonderful performance here in the second half of this race. Really showed the most strength, and as the back of his truck says, your logo here. I bet you after this performance here tonight, he is going to get some phone calls to put somebody's logo there, as he's going to get himself a W. Works his way off of turn number 4. Checkered flag in the air for William Hartman here at the Texas Motor Speedway. And again, a great finish and a great recovery for Christian Peterson. He's going to finish 3rd, right behind Kyle Manger and Jared Campbell, and then Gabriel Wood round out your top 5. But we'll go through that full field in a little bit. But another great race I'd like to mention from William Hartman, just really showing who's boss here tonight. And you know, after Christian Peterson was able to make the interesting call, you know, William Hartman passed Gabriel Wood and really ran away with it. So just a great race tonight. Boy, I tell you, Christian Peterson, we talked a lot about him tonight, and as it turns out, he was only 3 seconds back there at the end of the race when he was over 6 seconds back, no more than 10 laps ago. Really some great pace in that 23, but just ran out of time. But all eyes here tonight on William Hartman as he burns it down on the front stretch, doing some donuts. TRD on the hood, your logo here on the back, but I promise you, probably come next Sunday when we see him again, there's going to be somebody's big old logo there on that number 67. I can almost see the smile through the helmet as William Peterson does some celebration here on the front stretch. Well earned. And we're going to take just another quick break, step away, get set up for our post-race here on LSRTV. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back to talk to your winner in just a moment. All right, we are back here at Texas Motor Speedway. 125 laps of exciting action in the books. Trevin, just a great race, really fantastic to watch. What more can you say about it?
Well, after seeing Christian Peterson again, just that highlight, second place points position, really just, it made an interesting call, and really, it just didn't work out for him in the end. But he was able to bounce back to a third position. Kyle Manger, really great all around tonight. Maybe made a consistent run, starting from seventh and going to second. But William Hartman, the star of the show tonight, and we'll give you a full race rundown right now.
Yep, it was William Hartman in the number 67 showing the way and taking the checkered flag. Second place goes to Kyle Manger, and rounding out the podium, probably the hardest charger through the field, and I can't wait to hear his thoughts in just a moment. That's the number 23 of Christian Peterson. Fourth place goes to Gerald Campbell. Fifth place, Gabriel Wood, who was one of our leaders here tonight, but he fell back to fifth. Reese Bayham in sixth. Paul Henley, seventh. John Theodore in eighth. Matthew Murphy in ninth. And Stephen Hollingsworth had an eventful evening and brings it home in the 10th position.
That was your last truck on the lead lap. Now starting one lap down, James Krahula in that 11th position. Number 12th position will go to Jeremy Watkins. P13 goes to Dustin Dean. P14, Jeremy Adams. Tyler Dalton, P15. P16 goes to William Kemp. Derek Paulson, P17. Jeff Ryan, 18th. Billy Tungate, 19th. And John Lyday rounds out your top 20.
Rest of these drivers did not finish tonight's event. Starting in 21st with CJ Mason. Todd Novosad in 22nd. Josh Dietz, 23rd. Bo Givens, 24th. And the last truck who took the grid here tonight, Sean Cross, all caught up in early wrecks as well. So tough night for those guys. But 25 finishers here, none happier than William Hartman, who takes home the win. We'll talk to him in just a moment. But Trevin, I guess we're going to bring in our third place finisher, and I can't wait to talk to him. Pick his brain a little bit about the strategy he employed and just have him explain it himself. That's the 23 Christian Peterson, and so let's work on getting him in here and see what he has to say. But definitely just looking forward to talking to him.
User was moved to your channel.
There we go. Christian Peterson, David Schildhouse up in the LSRTV booth. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, we got you, David.
All right, you were the man out front leading this field around for a long period of time. And some interesting pit strategy you employed to stay on the tires you started the race with. Just tell us about the strategy and what you were looking to get out of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I seem to pick the wrong one every race. But we'll figure it out one day. I figured there would be, with a lot of trucks, there would be a lot of people, there'd be a lot of chance for a yell at the end, and then with me not taking tires and a lot of other people taking tires, it kind of stacked up the field and took out a lot of those guys. So it kind of screwed that strategy up, but maybe next week we'll pick the right strategy.
Yeah, seemingly you were holding on to it okay, not too bad, and then you made a green flag pit stop. The yellow flies a couple laps later. You end up taking the wave around there, seemingly in a good position, but you fought your way back up to third after restarting 10th and had a lot of steam under the hood. Maybe a couple more laps you were able to get up there. As you were working your way through the field, what were you thinking?
I I mean, I kind of just once we got the yellow and I got the wave around, yeah, I was just kind of trying to drive as hard as possible. Um, we got slowed up because everybody wasn't in line right away at the restart, and then um, I got kind of held up by those two trucks there. But I think it was just kind of needed track position. And I did have a fewer lap older tires, but I think it was still a good comeback.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll give you the hard charge reward for sure, even though you started up front. I think you passed more trucks tonight than anybody else, and you definitely got Trevin and I excited up in the booth. So big tip of the cap to you. You made up some great points on Seth the Merchant as well, since he wasn't here tonight. Wasn't a win, I know, but you got to feel good about a P3 considering how far back you were at one point, even a lap down. So good run for you. I'll give you the microphone tonight to say hello to friends and family, sponsors, everyone that helped get you here tonight to the racetrack.
Yeah, just want to say congrats to Menger and William there for getting the win, and Menger for getting second, and hi to my parents at home. I think they're watching, and everybody else watching on LSRTV. And shout out to everybody on Vincier and Six Man, and everybody at Austin Designs.
Fantastic. Your second or a third place finisher here tonight started on the pole, had to pass a lot of trucks to get back to third, but Christian Peterson second in points. Good start to his climb back to try and reel in Seth the Merchant. Christian Peterson, thank you very much. We'll see you next week at Talladega.
All right, thanks, David.
All right,
User was
Trevin,
moved
we'll
out of
get
your
our
channel.
second place finisher in here. That is the number 25 of
User
Kyle
was
Manger.
moved to your channel.
And he's all yours.
Down here on pit road with Kyle Manger. Kyle starting 7th, finishing 2nd. What was really your strategy knowing that you only had 2 sets of tires in the pits at such a track that really demands tires and really tire conservation?
It was a good, clean race. We needed long green flag runs like that for the race to work out for me. Once we got 15 to 20 laps on the tires, I was able to start reeling them in there, and yeah, the cautions fell right to where we can pit for tires and go the distance and kind of make it a 2-stop race. So luckily there was no cautions, and we were able to stay ahead of on top of strategy there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, coming down to the wire, you can see Christian Peterson, I'm sure, coming into your rear mirror. How do you keep him behind you, and you know, just make sure that he didn't let him get around you?
Didn't even know he was there until the last lap. Really, that was a heck of a comeback by him. He was the fastest car probably all race, but he was on the wrong end of strategy, so we were able to capitalize on it, and he was able to still come out with a good finish, which is good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, coming next week from a 1.5-mile track that's really hard to, you know, handle to a really long track that's easy, Talladega, you know, what are you expecting next week?
We're gonna send it there. It's one of our better tracks. We work well together as a team, so we expect to be up front there for that race as well.
We can't wait for it. Before we let you go, who gets it done for that 25 machine, sponsors and shoutouts?
Got P Money Designs. He's a great painter and a better wheelman. Preston Pardis. So I think I thank him for the paint. Six Man. My spotters, Brenda and Robbie tonight, did a good job to put me in a position to run up front.
Absolutely, and a great finish from you. That's the number 25 of Kyle Manger. Kyle, thank you very much. Hopefully to see you next week.
Thanks.
And that will be
User
the
was moved
number
out of your
25.
channel.
And now, David, you're going to have that first place position finisher tonight.
User was moved to your channel.
Down here in the happiest place at Texas Motor Speedway, that is Victory Lane, and the driver, for the first time here this season, he's 1 for 1, William Hartman in Victory Lane. Congratulations, William. What a great way to burst onto the scene here in this series. Go out and get a win. Shades of our point leader, Seth the Merchant, just going out and slaying the field. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a pretty good way to start out the season for us, and couldn't ask for a better way to start out.
From what I can see, you took over the lead on lap number 60 from Gabriel Wood, and you didn't look back. So you led 65 laps to finish it out. A little bit of drama there as you worked your way through the field, but just a great run managing the tires and growing that lead to 3 seconds. As you looked up in the rearview mirror, were you worried about Christian Peterson, who was knifing his way through the field from the back of the pack?
Yeah, he definitely had a really, really fast truck tonight. And I know he was a little bit off sequence on strategy, but if things would have fell his way, it would have kind of falling right into his lap the race. So we're really thankful that the strategy ended up working out in our favor. But definitely between the 66 behind us, who I think might have had a little bit of an issue at the end of the race, but he was really, really fast too. And I think we would have had a really, really good race to the finish there. I'm not sure if I would have been able to hold him off, but between him and the 23, a lot of really, really good racing tonight, a lot of really competitive trucks. So it was a lot of fun.
So where have you been hanging out all this time where you just step into the CEA Truck Series and take home a win all of a sudden?
Yeah, actually heard about it from some guys who have come over here from another league that I race, and heard a lot of really, really good things about the racing, which I think you saw tonight. Just amazing racing from the front to the back of the field. A lot of really, really long green flag runs, which is always indicative of a great league with a lot of great drivers. So heard a lot of great things and decided we'd come out and give it a try, and luckily we got off to a great start.
Yeah, absolutely. This is my first exposure to this series as well. Very impressed by what I saw. Very impressed by your performance. You go out there, run up front all race long. Very patient on those restarts. When we saw wheel spin, especially with the 23 of Peterson, a couple times there in front of you, you demonstrated the ability to be very patient, be very aware of what was going on, and not create a bigger wreck. So obviously you come from a good place with a lot of good racecraft under your belt. What are you looking forward to now? Are you going to keep coming back and trying to steal wins away from these guys?
Yeah, I think we're gonna make this a regular thing, for sure. I really, really, like I said, I like the racing. I like the guys. There's a lot of really, really good racing. So, more time in the seat is never a bad thing, and especially when you've got fun racing like this. So, I think you'll be seeing us around a little bit more over the course of the season.
You know, I think I've already heard some rumors that you actually are Seth the Merchant, just running under a different name because of the performance and how badly you beat these guys up tonight. They got a lot to think about as you bring that number 67 back to the racetrack in the following weeks. I saw on the back of the truck it says your logo here. No sponsors on the trucks. Do you think that's going to change now that you took home a win?
Well, we're hoping so. Yeah, like it shows there, just looking for sponsorship in any way, shape, or form, and especially with a great platform such as LSRTV, definitely really, really good exposure. So, anything helps.
Absolutely. William, it's my pleasure to give you the mic one more time here tonight. Give a shout out to all the friends and family at home watching, sponsors, and, well, maybe not sponsors in this case, but future sponsors that you want to bring on, and anyone else who helped put you here in Victory Lane tonight.
Yeah, I got to thank all the guys over at CEA, and the American Pool Supply Truck Series. They put on a great show, a lot of great racing tonight. And then I got to thank all my guys over at Savage Drivers, Savage Motorsports. Ton of support there. Always there to lean on to go through setups and ways to drive tracks. So amazing group of guys there. I can't thank them enough.
There you have it, folks. Your winner here tonight at Texas, William Hartman, 1 for 1. And there's no better way to start out a career here at the CEA Truck Series than that. So, William, congratulations. We'll look forward to seeing you at the big track next week at Talladega.
All right. Thank you, guys.
User was moved out of your
All right,
channel.
Trevin, there you have it. Our top 3 finishers and some interesting thoughts there. Obviously, Christian Peterson down on himself for the strategy. Looking back on it, he'll have a week to think about that, but he's got to clear his mind as we look forward to Talladega. But here tonight at Texas, a great race and really just a wonderful experience to jump in here with LSRTV and check out the guys at CEA Truck Series. Very impressed with what we saw, and a great finish, a great winner for the first time in his first start. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, just a great show put on by William Hartman his first time, and you know, really just showing what he's got, and you know, great racing so far from all these guys throughout the season, and really looking forward to the rest of the season. And you know, it's just a great racing series to go off of. You know, especially with all the different kind of tracks and the rules that they have. But with that, next week Talladega. It's gonna be crazy. It's a very fast track, and you know, I'm really looking forward to that as well. Coming from this track to a really long track, so but that's going to do it here tonight for us at LSR TV. You know, thank you for staying here with us throughout this post-race coverage. And, you know, next week, obviously, again, we're going to be at Talladega, but you don't have to wait that long for another sim racing action, as we have Monday with RSR, Full Throttle Cup Series, Wednesday, another Cars Esport Tour, and then Saturday, we have the Outlaw Modified Series. So stay tuned for that, and to keep up with all of our dates and all of our new stuff coming on, follow our Facebook or Twitter page, or go to the website lsrtv.com, and you know, it's just gonna keep you updated with everything. And really keep you informed. But for Joe downstairs and David Shieldhouse alongside of me, I'm Trevin Valderrama, and thank you, and hope to see you next week.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSRTV and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form
User
without the
joined your
express
channel.
written consent of Live Sim Racing LLC and iRacing.com Motorsport Simulations. LSRTV would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.